James Banks here for DefinitiveeSports, and we're here at the I-48 ESET UK Masters, and I'm joined with one of the premier casters at the moment. It's JoRoSaR. Now, last time we caught up was almost exactly a year ago for I-45, and you've come a long way since then. And we said in that last interview, oh, you wanted to cast MLG. Since then, you've gone on and done that as well, so things must be looking pretty good for you. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you, and you're absolutely right. Last time we had this interview, it's like, oh, yeah, I wouldn't mind heading over to an MLG to cast that, and I did that about a month later. So I just want to get out of the way right now that I'm really interested in winning the Euro Millions jackpot. So hopefully somewhere along the next couple of months that'll happen as well. But yeah,
share that with me clearly, because it's
oh yeah, we'll work out a split. We'll talk about that after the interview. But no, a lot of things have happened since then. Really enjoying it, and things have really ramped up here at I-48. It's fantastic.
Now, we have a staple in the UK of a lot of really good casters, but it was kind of Apollo, TB, just the forefront of everything for a long time. Now you've come along and you've really reached out. You've done the IPL, you're back here again, you've done the MLG, as you said. What's next for you, and what are your goals, and what are the plans for this year? Like, have you got any other events confirmed, or maybe some dream hacks or something?
I've got nothing that I can talk about at the moment, unfortunately. I'm hoping to get to a couple more events this year. Life has been a little bit more, I want to say, time management's become significantly crucial at the moment in my life, because at the end of January I've started work. So I'm actually working full-time, and I'm now doing esports as much as I can part-time, and that involves days where I'm literally running out of the office, getting home 3 minutes before the start of a broadcast, and then casting for 4.5 hours before I can have dinner in the evening. But I love those kind of days. I mean, it's fantastic. This is what I love, and I'm just still really happy to be a part of it, and hopefully continue moving on and doing bigger things as well.
So the big step up, obviously, from an I-Series to then go on to an MLG event. How much were you in shock? Were you just like, whoa, this is crazy? And like, was there any point where you were maybe more nervous due to such a bigger stage?
It was at the first MLG event. It was actually quite interesting because we weren't on camera. We were casting the beta stream, so that took a lot of the pressure off of it. And I was also casting with a lot of people that I used to cast with regularly with at Playhem. So it was basically like a mini reunion over there in Anaheim, and it was fantastic. And then off of that, I did the Gigabyte Esports LAN a couple of the next week, I want to say, actually. I forget if it was 1 or 2 weeks. I think it was 1, and got to meet up with a couple of them, and that was some on-camera work as well. But it was really when I came back and started getting into the European events over the summer period, when I did the EPS Berlin, that the larger organizations started hiring me for some on-camera stuff, and it was quite a lot of fun. I mean, we started off with the EPS Berlin, and then I had the Intel Extreme Masters. We've got DreamHack as well in the middle of that, and I'm really looking forward to going to events this year, not specifically because, oh right, I want to go to as many events as possible, but it's nice to see that the quality of the events and the way they're organized and the crowds and stuff just continuously growing. And it's really cool to be able to go to one place and then come back to it and just see the improvements and see the additional exposure. I mean, I think on Friday this weekend, for example, we broke the streaming record for viewer numbers from the last event already. And we're just going up and up and up, and we have and we have such good players, 3 Team Liquid players already through to the quarterfinals. It's really cool just to see things continuously ramp up, and that makes me really happy.
Now, let's compare I-45 to this.
Yeah.
That's, for us from just on the outside, you can see the massive changes. But for you as a caster, you're in a little box room away doing most of it half time. Now you've got your own stage. Like, how nice is that to see, and what have been the best things about the changes from then to now?
I mean, to be fair to before, it had its own little quirks. For those of you who don't know, back at I-45, I was casting it with Martine. We were handling XSplit ourselves. There was a sound box. We were messing around with all the levels in between games and stuff like that. And we were in a room with no partitions, with the TF2 guys, with the COD guys. And there were like 4 different teams of casters in the same room, and we were all basically trying to outshout each other. It was an absolute nightmare, but it was a laugh as well. Really enjoying it. And yeah, this event, completely different. We have a completely separate stage, full production behind us as well, so we can just get on and focus with the games. And the step up actually has been quite remarkable between last year and this year, and I really feel, especially with the ESET backing us now as well, that we're just going to get bigger and better. And in fact, the next 2 events, looking forward after this one as well, I-49, I-50, I'm also really looking forward to.
So that's kind of a bit of information there we might see for the next 2 as well, hopefully. Now, one thing is always nice to see as well, what I particularly like about you is that you've now come back to us as well. You haven't just gone to the bright lights and left us. Now, how important is it to you to just come back to the community and obviously a lot of people that you know and faces that are probably very familiar to you?
Well, I started casting like a lot of people who started casting sort of a little bit later on, I was a fanboy of everybody else. It was fantastic going to an MLG and like meeting Tastosis and Total Biscuit and Husky and Day 9, and it was, wow, this is absolutely great. And I didn't imagine at that point that I'm actually going to be working alongside some of them down the line. But I think it is so important to get back to the roots of the community and just sort of like make friends and chill out where you were. I'm not looking at the moment to make esports completely full-time thing, because there aren't any full-time casting positions available at the moment that I'm going to be gunning for. So what I want to do is enjoy the time I have, really connect with the community, and hopefully bring up some new people as well. Like if I can encourage or inspire somebody to pick up and play the game, which I had a couple people on Twitter tell me about, it's such a good feeling. If I can inspire someone to maybe say, even if they come out and say, oh, JoRoSaR is a terrible caster, I bet I could do better than him, I'm going to give it a shot. That's one of the reasons I tried casting to YouTube in the first place a year and a half ago. I want to be able to inspire reaction out of the local community and be able to get hopefully some new people up in the ranks as well, whether it be casting, whether it be playing, whether it be something else. I'm completely open to whatever they want to do, but being connected to that community in the first place is always going to be the first step. You're not going to do it thousands of miles away when you have no interaction with everyone. So that it's so important to come back.
Now, you mentioned about the other casters just then. Who is your main inspiration, and who is like maybe your favourite casters?
A little bit of a tough question.
It's a little bit tricky. I wouldn't say I have a favourite caster, but there were a couple of casters that are a particular inspiration to me. I can think of 3 off the top of my head that I do actually want to extend special thanks to. Kevin Nocky is the world's nicest guy, and he will make time to sit down and just chat if you wanted to chat. And he was really instrumental to me coming into IPL, first as a community caster and then to IPL 5, and I really learned a lot from him, as well as just attitude and life in general. The guy is definitely someone I think people should look to emulate. Artosis and Grubby also, I met them at WCS Asia, and both of them, they bring such a positive outlook to casting, where they're always thinking about, they're not thinking about things that they're doing badly or things that they might have missed. They're thinking about, oh, what can I do to make this even better? How can I push this point even more to the fan? How can I expand this bubble of enjoyment inside this game? And it extends to outside of their professional lives as well. They're both such outgoing, such pleasant people to be around that you can't help by being infected by their attitude. And I think they've been a real inspiration to me.
Now, StarCraft, we're on Heart of the Swarm. It's come a long way from the original StarCraft now. What do you think of the new units as a caster? Is it like making it a lot more interesting, you finding it exciting to talk about them, or do you kind of feel like it might be like some people are saying, oh, don't like this unit, or don't really like using this unit, or because I know you play a bit as well, or play quite a lot as well, so it's interesting to get your perspective on it, because the players are obviously very on their own race, but you see the whole widespread of it all.
I think at the end of the day, it's always going to be a situation where 6 months in, when we start seeing the metagame slow down a lot and people are starting to do what we're starting to see a lot more staple builds, if you like, then we'll get a little bit of a better idea. Through the beta, and right now, it's almost like a little bit of a honeymoon period at the moment, which is fantastic because we're seeing new strategies being popped out day to day from different players. And it's very difficult to tell where it's going to evolve to. It's easy to take a snapshot from something in the tournament and say, well, this strategy completely crushes this strategy. I mean, that game was so one-sided. But what you have to remember is people haven't completely adjusted to dealing with all the new units and the new kind of timings that have come out just yet. And even at the tip-top GM level at these tournaments, at these world-renowned tournaments, there are still new things that are catching even the best players in the world off guard. So right now, new units, new gameplay, making everything very interesting and really cool to follow. What we have to remember as a community, I think, it's really, really entertaining and positive to see the trend over time and the story about how everything evolves. Just looking at single games or like single matches in a tournament and stuff doesn't really give you the full picture of what's going on. And I think over the next few months, we're going to see a much more complete picture about exactly what Heart of the Swarm brings to the table. I'm really positive about it, though, and I think it's fantastic.
No, great. Yeah, I'm completely with you on that. So, this event, any players you've been watching that you're just completely thinking, this is like someone you need to pay attention to now that you might have not been thinking about before?
TLO. Really nice resurgent comeback here. Liquid Red as well. I mean, we have to give props to the Liquid Zerg, Snoot as well. All three of them came top of their group. And coming into this tournament, a little bit like MLG actually, there was a lot of talk about how Terrans and Protosses would crush all the Zergs, and then Life just came in and went, well, I'm Life, I'm just going to win anyway. And we saw 3 Zergs top their groups here at I-48 as well. So they need to be given massive, massive props, and I'm really looking forward to seeing their games in the semi-finals, because of course at least one of them is going to make it in. That's guaranteed now, with 3 of them in the quarters. Pardon me, not guaranteed just yet, because the round of 8. Yeah, mincing it a bit, been a long morning, sorry, but I'm pretty sure we'll be seeing some of them. I think if I had to pick one of those players, I'd pick Red, because Red had a fantastic group showing at the Intel Extreme Masters as well, and he basically fell at the bracket stages, but that doesn't. I don't really think that sort of gives a complete picture of how well he's actually playing at the moment. He's on a massive up. I spoke to him yesterday. He's in a really positive mood, and he's playing great StarCraft as well. I believe he's going to go up against Sting, who just defeated Crank. So that, in my opinion, is going to be the quarterfinal to watch. I really want to follow Red here.
Okay, great. Now, one thing I will want to do just before we round this up is there are a lot of casters still around. We've got casters around here that are in your position, almost what you were a year ago. What advice would you give to them?
If I had to pick one thing, I would say stay positive. A lot of aspiring casters, this applies especially to play-by-play caster, which of course is what I tend to concentrate on most of the time in my caster pairings, get a lot of stick. And that's okay. You need to be constantly aware of that and improve, rather than just sit there and wallow in it. And in fact, that's something that I had a lot of help from Artosis early on as well. When I started getting into casting, he really helped me come a long way with regards to that. And I actually feel that sort of attitude has not only helped my play-by-play casting, but it's helped my analysis as well. And it's just helped being able to gel with someone else straight off the bat and become really comfortable with that on-camera role. So you need to stay positive above all else. But if I had to say a second thing, it would be seize every opportunity you can get. If there are so many online cups at the moment that, might not have a massive viewer base, but you get experience casting with a lot of different people. You could technically cast every night of the week if you found the correct tournaments to volunteer for, and it's that sort of practice that gets you noticed over a couple of months period. That work ethic combined with the positive attitude, very, very difficult to go wrong.
Great, thank you very much. And now just one question I'm going to throw in, because from what you said, so you have to jump in with like a lot of other casters, and you said gelling with them. Has that just becoming naturally easier, or would you ever get to stages where, I just can't work with this caster, and you may have just been put together?
I think I might be in a very lucky position here, because I can honestly say that hasn't happened. Most of the people I'm working with at the moment are professionals, and they have experience of coming in and being like, in fact, I'm the newbie gelling with them almost. Like when I did DreamHack with Apollo, for example, we flowed so well on camera, and it was very easy just to step in and start casting the games. And when that you flow well as well, it helps so much other stuff with your game, because you're not so worried anymore about that. You can start focusing more on the game. If you happen to be observing the game, you can make sure you're looking at the right stuff as well, and it takes a load of other stuff off your mind. So massive skill to have. And I guess I'm in a lucky position where I say, no, I haven't really had any cringe moments casting with someone. It's been all right.
Perfect. Well, that's exactly what you want. That's a sign of a good caster, so it's doing well. Well, thank you very much for your time. Is there anything else you'd like to say, shout outs, or where people can follow you?
Thank you very much to everyone for catching this interview. I am at JoRoSaR on Twitter and on Facebook as well. And a massive shout out to everyone who's made the I-Series such a success this weekend. The event, it's been around a long time. It's called I-48 for a reason, but it's continuing to make leaps and bounds. And the amount that they're improving event on event is staggering. You think by now it'd be like plateauing? Absolutely not. They're just getting bigger and better all the time. And it's really down to the hard work of everyone at the venue. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, John. Good luck with casting the rest of the games. I'm sure they're going to be fantastic. Remember, guys, keep checking out the stream. It's twitch.tv/ESET UK Masters. Follow this guy on Twitter and check out the rest of the games. Now, you can follow all the rest of our interviews on d-esports.com. We'll bring you many more to come.